Welcome to eMpower Hour, a video series where we celebrate the remarkable achievements of Marian High School alumni and create meaningful connections between Marian's current students and faculty and staff.
eMpower! eMpower! eMpower!
eMpower!
eMpower!
eMpower!
eMpower!
eMpower!
Join us as we connect with Lauren Barsamian, 04, Maria Odish, 25, Kate Long, 25, Ruby Jansen, 25, and Molly Campbell, our athletic director, as we celebrate and discuss what it means to be a woman in sports on National Women in Sports Day. It's happening. It started to record. All right. Yay. Well, welcome everybody to eMpower Hour. I am your host, Brooke Galli, class of 2014, and I'm the Alumnae Relations Manager here at Marian. And today we are joined by some fabulous people for our first ever episode. We have an alum who graduated in 04. Her name is Lauren Barsamian. We have three awesome students, Ruby Jansen, Maria Odish, and Kate Long, all graduating this year in 2025, and our amazing athletic director, Molly Campbell. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks for having us. We're excited. This is great.
Our goal today is to bridge Marian's past with Marian's present and to inspire Marian's future. And so getting together today, we are also celebrating what it means to be a woman in sports, with Women in Sports Day coming up on February 5th, 2025. We have a really special advantage here at Marian. We're an all-girls school with all women alum, and it's just so cool to get to empower one another and really understand what it means to be a woman in sports and what it means to be a Marian Mustang and how that carries on into our lives. And so we would love to start out this podcast, this episode, just kind of hearing Lauren's story and then going from there. So Lauren, if you don't mind, kind of just taking us through what initially drew you to pursue your career in marketing and event management, and how did you work your way up to your current position? How was Marian a part of, that process? And we're excited to hear.
Perfect. Well, hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I did not know this was the first episode, so I am honored for that. But I'm so excited to be here. I am a proud Marian Mustang. All of my friends, my closest friends, are those that I met at Marian to this day. So I'm super proud of that. And I'm always getting back to Michigan to see everyone and hang with them. But not to go too far back, but I was born and raised in Troy, Michigan. We went to a different school. I'm one of three girls, so I'm in the middle of my sisters, and we went to a different school for grade school. And then my parents decided to send my older sister to Marian, and we were all a little bit shocked and not totally loving that idea, but my sister went, and then I followed in her footsteps, and it changed my life for the better, for sure. And like I said, it introduced myself to a ton of my friends that I'm still very close with today. And then I went to Marian, and then following Marian, I graduated and then went to Michigan State University, where I went to the Eli Broad College of Business and got my marketing degree there. And then following Michigan State, I moved to New York City about a week after graduation, actually, with the group that I had interned with the summer previously, which is the actual group that I still work for today, which is kind of crazy in today's day and age. You really don't hear about that. So we're on, I think, my 18th year with ESPN and Disney, which I'm super proud of, but it has taken me, many years and experience in many different sports and events and everything like that. I did my first stint in New York. I was there for about 4.5 years in our headquarters in New York City. And then I shifted my position to Chicago to be a little bit closer to home. So we have a sales office in Chicago. So I worked there for about 4 years. And then I moved back to New York, actually, until I was there during COVID, and then most recently moved to Nashville, which is where I live today, and all with the same company. So I'm fully remote, working here in Nashville. But I think that's my story. I don't know if there's anything else we should dive into.
It's an awesome story. Thank you for sharing. And that's so cool. You've been with them since the start. Um,
Yes.
with over 17 years of experience, how have you seen the marketing and event industry evolve? And what key trends have had the most significant impact on you throughout that time?
I would say it was funny because I was thinking about that, and I worked at ESPN back when we had a magazine, if you can believe it, ESPN the magazine. I know print publications are not even so much around these days, but we did a lot of events based off print advertising back in the day. And so, my role is truly on the marketing and sales side where we're executing sponsorships for people that buy into the media at ESPN. So you get up in the morning, you watch SportsCenter, anything Disney, ESPN centric on our television. When you go to ESPN.com, on our social channels, all of that is considered media that advertisers buy into. And then my team's role specifically focuses on the activation event side of the house, managing marketing rights, and just exploring new ways that we can amplify sponsorship across things outside of just watching an ad on your television. But I would say the biggest change for me in my career was social media. And I know that seems funny to maybe the current students, but if you can believe it, we didn't have social media. And so that has drastically changed the course of events. And capturing that content in real time never existed prior to that. It was always, photographs that we would receive much later. Nothing was in real time. So we were recapping an event like in a magazine that came out like, 2 months later, if you can believe it. So social media has changed the course of events for forever. And I think in a good way, it's getting and capturing real time content for fans and people that are at home and are not able to physically be at that event. So now there's some downside to that as well, of course, but we've seen tremendous growth in the social space ever since it became a thing.
So fun. Thank you for sharing that. And like throughout your journey and your time doing what you've done, I'm sure you met so many awesome people that have inspired you and been a part of so many cool situations and experiences and events. What is something that like sticks out in your mind or your heart that really transformed your experience and just sticks out as a memory that maybe was challenging or you know, worked out in a way that led you to a new experience or, anything that you just want to share that kind of sticks out in your heart from your memories?
Sure, yeah. There's so many events. If I showed you the amount of credentials I have, it would be kind of crazy. But I had it, well, first off, I was an intern before I became full time that summer before. And I remember my dad kind of drilling into me about listening. My internship, it's kind of like you're there to learn, of course, and observe, but you're there to listen and kind of understand. And I remember that really distinctly that he just kept kind of drilling that in my mind about listening. And I truly feel like that has helped me, even as I sit here today. And I think you can always learn more. You can always grow. You can always evolve, especially over the course of, an 18-year career at this point. Like nothing is the same every year, seemingly with a standard event calendar. While the events may be similar over the years, there's always something that comes up and changes. And so for me, like listening was one of those key things I kind of learned early on and took with me from my internship all the way to starting and then to where I am today. Um, being that I am in events, one thing that you learn is that you can control as much as you possibly can, but the one thing you cannot control is the weather. And the weather has an incredible impact on events, both good and bad. And so over the years, we've had to really work through some challenges when it came to really bad weather situations. We always say, and it's like a known thing, that the Super Bowl and the national championship, they're jinxed events because for some reason, always during those weekends, there's like this random hurricane that happens or a snowstorm in Texas when they don't get snow. And so we had to deal with some pretty gnarly weather situations where we had to pivot quickly. Part of my job is being solution oriented. That's what I do. I troubleshoot and I find solutions. I really don't take no for an answer, just because I know that there can be a yes somewhere if you do the work and you put in the time. But with weather implications over the years, like I go back to where we did this basketball event at Rucker Park in Harlem, New York. And we just got an incredible amount of rain, and it was an outdoor basketball court. And we were out there, we sent a bunch of people to go to Home Depot and all these places to get like blowers to blow off the rain because we had to have these kids play this basketball. And so I'm out there with a blower and a sweeper trying to get the rain off the court. So that led me to just, I think there's a lot of life lessons in there, but I think it's never too late to get your hands dirty. I being that I'm a director, I still am the first person to try to help a solution or find a solution and to help somebody out. But with the weather, you can't control it. So you find ways around it and you continue to be solution oriented.
So cool. I mean, your determination, your hard work, your energy obviously got you to where you are today and continue, to get you to where you will be. But I just love hearing that. I know we all do. And hearing your story, I appreciate you sharing that. We all do. I just thinking about the three students that are with us, Ruby, Maria, and Kate. Knowing some of them for a longer time than others, it doesn't matter. I know them and I know that they are all hardworking individuals that care. And I love seeing the similarities within them and you. For instance, Ruby signed to row at Michigan next year. So exciting for her. And she is the captain of the basketball team and scored, I believe it was 24 points. Am I correct in that last night? And their win against Regina. Let's go, captain.
Oh, even better.
Yeah. Beat Regina.
Yes.
And we've got Miss Maria Odish here, and she was the captain of the volleyball team and winning state championship after state championship in her time at Marian, and just being an inspiration to those around her, committed to Michigan. And Kate being on the golf team and just being such a great student and wanting to go into sports management and having those similarities within this field that you are in too. It's just really cool to see the similarities. So I kind of want to just pass it over to these three students. If you guys have any questions for Lauren here, anything on your mind, feel free.
Yeah, I mean, we have been fortunate enough to be part of the athletics at Marian, and we know what it means to be a Mustang. How have you carried that over? Like, what has Marian instilled in you, especially in like the tradition of athletics at Marian, that you've carried over into your professional life?
It is single-handedly probably the thing that has carried with me from the very beginning I started in this professional world. I was a swimmer, a softball player, and a skier at Marian. Swimming was basically the hardest thing I had experienced in my lifetime up to that point. It was a grind. I think you guys know we had morning practice. We had practice after. Marian does not have a pool. Maybe one day they will get a pool. That's Molly's job. Yeah. But I learned so much, swimming in particular, because it was so challenging. This discipline first and foremost, because nobody wants to get up at 4 a.m. to get to a cold pool in the wintertime in Michigan. So that first and foremost just taught me about discipline. And obviously I wanted to succeed as a swimmer. I wasn't great. I got to be honest, but still loved it because, again, it brought such camaraderie because we were sort of in it together. We were in the misery together, if you will, because again, we were kind of sitting in the parking lots at 4:45 hoping the janitor wouldn't come to open the doors to get to the pool. But we were in it together, and then we were struggling together. We were witnessing like really some incredible hardship just in those times because it was a pretty grueling schedule. And then when we won and we had team wins and we went to the championships, it was such an amazing feeling because we knew the hard work that we had all put in to get to that point. And like I said, the relationships that you build in good times, but most importantly in the bad times, were how we were able to kind of succeed as a team. We always joked that the swimmers were cooler than the basketball players because we had a harder schedule, and all of my friends were on the basketball team and they're like, no, basketball is way harder. And the swimmers were like, no, swimming is way harder. We certainly ate more than the basketball players, that's for sure, because we were burning so many calories. And then into skiing and into softball, I mean, I was a better skier, but again, it was like the late nights, like we would have to drive to the hill 45 minutes just for practice, and it was already dark. You know how dark it gets in Michigan. But it was amazing. Like we were in it together, and we would go to practice and we would build those relationships on the ground and throughout those times, and we didn't even know that they were leading to lifelong friendships. Same with softball. I played shortstop, and my best friend to this day played second base, and her dad was our coach, Mike Milzarski, who is the Milzarskis are big time Marian fans. And I'll never forget, I just was not excelling at shortstop. I had a wild arm. I had an incident in fourth grade where the ball hit me in the nose, and I never kept my head down after that. And so Coach Milzarski had a tough conversation, and he had to move his daughter to my position, and I moved to second base. But I'll never forget that because it was like it didn't matter because we were still in it together. We were still playing side by side from each other, and we were a much better team because of that. So in addition to the obvious friendships and relationships that you create in times of toughness and just long practices, you learn the importance of those relationships. And specifically in this, anybody that works in sports marketing or in the sports industry will tell you that relationships are the number one thing, because while it may seem like sports is this massive community, it really is a small industry when it comes down to it. So I always take that with me. I never want to burn bridges or have negativity in my life when it comes to people that I come across, because you just never know who you're going to come across in the future. So that was as early as Marian at 5 a.m. in the pool, learning about building those relationships. And now in my career, that's single-handedly the thing that keeps me pushing forward, is the relationships that I've built from Marian, but also have cultivated over the years in the industry.
All right, thank you. Also just wondering, was there ever like a specific person or program at Marian that kind of inspired you to go into, how you are in the future and like your collegiate now in your business?
You were breaking up there a little bit. I think I got it. Somebody who inspired me. Okay, so junior year, I really struggled academically. I don't know if he is there anymore, but Mr. McBroom was my, I think it would have been algebra 2, maybe. He was tough. He was a tough teacher. And like for some reason, I was always good at math, but this one really got to me. And I remember getting like not a very good grade at all. And I was always like an A and B student. And junior year was particularly tough. Plus, that was the year I felt like for us was really key for college applications. So I remember sort of having this panic moment of I got to get my stuff together because this grade is going to have an impact on my overall GPA. And um, he was kind of this guy that just like, he was no BS. He wanted you to, he was so passionate about you getting it and understanding it, but he was hard and it made you want to work harder to get to a point where you could actually succeed. So I remember that stuck out to me as like this aha moment of, okay, you're struggling. We got to figure this out, whether it's like asking for help, putting in extra effort with your homework. And I specifically, I came out with a better grade than I was going into, but that was definitely one of my harder classes. And then from the work standpoint, the only thing really I can think of is just truly being an athlete. I just loved the aspect of sports. I grew up playing them. It was always a huge part of my life with my sisters and my family. It just has, there's so many life lessons in sports, and I carry that with me to this day. It's a funny quick story. I went to Michigan State as a pre-nursing major. So I had no intention. I didn't really even know this industry, frankly, existed, but I was kind of a caregiver. My dad was sick at one point with skin cancer, and I was the only one in the family that could administer his shots. And I couldn't figure that out. Nobody wanted to go near it or see blood or anything, but for me, it just kind of came easy to me. And I kind of leaned into that and thought, okay, there's something to this. Like, am I meant to do something medical? I love helping people. What could I do? And then I shadowed a doctor. I think it was somewhere in Detroit, and I was in the operating room, and there was a surgery happening, and I did not handle the surgery well. I'm pretty sure I found myself on the ground at one point. I had passed out. So I realized at that moment, after having some conversations with my parents, that maybe the medical industry wasn't for me. And sort of simultaneously, in 2005, Detroit hosted the Major League Baseball All-Star Game that summer. And so through a friend, I had heard about an agency that was working with all of the events that were happening over that weekend for that big All-Star weekend, and got in with a marketing agency as an intern. And it was called GMR Works at the time. And we worked on the Chevy business. And it was all about Chevy vehicles being a part of the big All-Star parade. And that is the moment through that experience when I felt like that is something I wanted to get into. It was the idea that it was surrounding a massive sporting event, but your hard work led to actually seeing something come to life. So an event, despite all the challenges and things that you have to work through, you get to see the end product, where I feel like a lot of other professions, you work so hard at something and may never see the benefits to all of that hard work. So that really attracted me to events in particular, to kind of have that payoff at the end and celebratory moment of seeing all of that come to life. And from that internship is when I got into ESPN through the internship of the group that I work in today.
I just have to quickly say, I love that you shared that story, especially because I think for, Kate and Maria and Ruby and all the other seniors, juniors, and future Marian students that are going to be in the same shoes that you wore, like your world is ever changing, and you might think
Exactly.
you're stuck with one thing, or a lot of people might ask you guys, how many people have asked you guys, like, where are you guys going to go next year? What are you guys going to study? And you're kind of sick of that question by now, I'm sure. But I mean, the world's your oyster, and it's so cool to see that, like, it's
100%.
ever evolving, and so thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I'll just
Definitely.
say, especially in my industry, like you meet anybody and no major was the same. Like somebody went to law school, somebody went to business school, somebody started medical school and didn't finish, or somebody went in to be a veterinarian and then now they're, so it's like you see everything, and I think you can pivot at any point depending on your passion and lean into that feeling of if you like and enjoy doing something, there can be a profession around that.
And just like reflecting more on starting to build relationships and like your first kind of job, how do you advise people to kind of get their foot in the door, start out in certain jobs if they want them, or starting to network and stuff like that?
That is a hard question, and I am not jealous of what you all are going to endure these next couple of years, because it is not easy now, especially with the access that everyone has to the internet and all the information and LinkedIn and Instagram and all these different places that you kind of start to hear trends of what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing. Is your resume still just one piece of paper? Is it 2 pages? Do you add pictures to it? Do you not? Do you put it on cardstock? Do you have to update your LinkedIn? Should you go on Indeed? It's just, there's so much out there. So I would just say you just start asking questions. You start trying to lean into things that you feel passionate about. And then you start asking like, hey, the reason that I got the internship or I got the interview to intern at ESPN was my babysitter from growing up in Michigan. She was just this all-star person. My sisters and I just adored her and idolized her. And we sort of took her lead on things. She did go to Michigan State too. So we sort of felt like we always kind of followed in her footsteps. But she was working in the sales division at ESPN, and I just asked her if she could pass along my resume, and one thing led to the next, and I had an interview. But I would say ask a lot of questions, lean into your friends, your parents' friends, your neighbors, find out what people are doing, who they know, because again, that is a big part of this still. You know, relationships are a huge part of where you find yourself, and I wouldn't be shy about that. And people want to be able to help you if they feel like, you know, you have the light and you're a hardworking person. So I don't really have a good answer other than just asking the questions and talking to the people that are close to you to find out if they know anyone, and then lean into resources like LinkedIn. I still think that LinkedIn is like a very good resource for me too. If I ever want to find a client or find a company that I want to work with, I always kind of resort to that first. And then usually you can see, oh, you're connected to this person who knows this person. And so you just kind of start building the blocks to reach the ultimate person you're trying to get in touch with. But yeah, and just be cautious, I would say, about trends, because sometimes I think people can kind of get that in their minds of what you should and shouldn't be doing. And I think those evolve as well. But the core of it is just that you're hardworking, and then you can lean into your relationships to connect with people.
Thank you.
Girls, thank you for asking those questions. And I know that you have more Marian ones that we'll get to at the end of, you know, the juicy ones like favorite cafeteria food or field day or stuff like that. But just to kind of touch base on like what it means to be a woman in sports. I know that Molly Campbell, being our athletic director, is also a woman in sports. And so, Molly, I kind of want to hand it over to you if you have questions of where we can kind of guide the conversation about what it means to be a woman in sports for all of us here.
Yeah, for sure. Lauren, it's awesome that you're where you're at, and being a woman, and especially myself included, being in a male dominated industry. Have you faced any particular challenges or biases through your career, and how have you navigated that?
100%. This industry in particular has evolved big time. I will share that when I was at the national championship last weekend, and we had a producer that sort of sent an email, and it was titled like Women of the CFP or Women of ESPN. And I was like, oh, what is this? And she had organized a photo on the field for all of us. This has never happened before. And you would think, of course. And so she organized this photo on the field the day before the national championship. And I think there was 174 women that showed up. And we were all I'll send you the photo. We were all surrounding the gold football in the center of the field. And I remember having this moment of like, this is incredible because there's this many women that touch this singular game and everything that touches it. Because that was not the case probably even 5 years ago, let alone 18 years ago. So it truly was a male dominated industry when I started. There's no question about that. My boss was a male. My boss's boss was a male. All of leadership were men. And that I can very confidently say has evolved. And my three bosses, my immediate boss is still my boss from my internship. So he's a male. And then he reports to three women. So his boss, her boss, and now her boss that are all women. And that, like I said, that has truly inspired me that it doesn't matter. We have a seat at the table if you want it. And that has been drilled into me. Disney and ESPN is really great about open door policies, being able to talk and communicate. And I push to have, they say a seat at the table. I push to have a seat at the table if I confidently feel like I should. But that comes with hard work as well, because just because you're a woman and you feel like you should be entitled to a seat at that table, well, yeah, but you have to put in the work and have the preparation so that you can deservingly have that seat at the table. It should not just be handed to you because you're a female. I've worked hard to get to this point, and I have shown by example, that we can do anything. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female. You have the same resources at your disposal that men do to understand and do the research and get to the point where you can represent yourself and your company despite your gender. So anyways, I think, it's interesting to look back because I don't really think about it anymore. Like, to me, I think everybody is worth the job if they are capable to do the job, despite what their gender is and that sort of thing. I think we all work hard to get to the place that we are. And I want to deserve the spot. I don't want it to be given to me because it feels it doesn't feel real then if you're sort of like, oh, well, we have to sort of check that box, right? There has to be a female there, so we're going to check that box. Like, I don't ever want to be the box that's checked. I want to be there because I deserve to be there and have put in the work. But I will tell you, being around events in sports hasn't been easy as a female. That is for sure. You see a lot. It's no secret that ESPN has had their challenges in the media, and I think we've all watched the shows and that sort of amplify this piece. And I have truly seen it all, but I do think that the industry is changing for the better finally. And I will say, like, I very much respect my male counterparts, and they respect me in a way that was not the case when I first started out.
That's awesome.
Really
You
quickly,
answered-
I'm sorry.
No,
No
go
wonder
ahead.
why you were a captain of 3 sports. I'm like fired up. I'm like, I'm motivated. Like,
That's awesome.
so
No,
fun.
I love everything you said. Like, definitely in my position as an athletic director, we constantly are dealing with men and egos,
Yes.
and while they don't want to admit it, like, women offer a unique perspective, and we have a lot that we can offer. And
Mhm.
so I'm kind of asking you that question. Being a female, have you found any unique strengths or perspectives that being a woman has brought to your role, especially in leadership?
100% detail oriented. I would say, like, not that men aren't, but I think women have an eye for detail, whether it's physical detail or intangible detail, in emails, in communication, in documents. And then for me on site at events, like, every little thing. My family and my friends, they all make fun of me because I hone in on these very specific details. But to me, that's the reason that we've had, all these years of successful events, because there's no rock that's been unturned from every little detail that goes into a successful event at all these various sporting events. So certainly, being detail oriented. I would say from a leadership perspective, I lead by example. I think that's kind of been my strength. I think, I had a boss back in the magazine days. She was incredible, and she had an attention to detail that I'll never forget. And I sat in like this very uncomfortable, like camping chair behind her cubicle for years, just watching her, observing her. And I, to this day, think that I have my skills and attention to detail because of her. She would use those like, oh, I think I have one. These Papermate pens, and like her notes were like just insane with color coding, and she would check like certain things were green, certain things were purple, and I certainly am not that organized at this point, but it just like resonated with me that she took the time to put that much detail and attention into her notes, into her day-to-day work ethic, into her agendas, into her recaps. Like it was all, she had these like thick binders. I don't even know if you guys have binders anymore, but they were like thick binders that had files, and it was just, she thought of everything, and I will take that with me forever. So I would say that to me feels like the biggest strength to me, because if you know all of the details, then you can answer anything that comes your way. If a man or a woman or a leader or a coach or a president, or, I deal with police often, believe it or not, being in events, a fire marshal, like there are very high level prominent people that I have to interact with. And if I have put in the work and looked at all of the details, then I have no problem talking to that person because I have done the due diligence to be able to answer them. So for me, that's kind of been the main thing that I've leaned into.
Awesome. And
Sorry,
then
really?
go ahead,
Oh,
Brooke.
yeah, no, go for
Go
it.
No, you're good.
If you have one more, go for it.
Go ahead. You can ask your question.
Well, hearing that, it just made me curious, for Molly and for Ruby and Maria and Kate, what do you guys feel like is a part of you that makes you a leader when it comes to being a woman in sports, or just in general, or where you want to go in your career, whether it's in sports management, whether it's in sports medicine or journalism, and being an athletic director, like for you four, what do you see like stands out in your leadership style or within your day-to-day being a woman in your career, or where you've been thus far playing sports, or yeah.
I'll go first. My mindset's always been like a why not me mentality. I always look at it like if he can do it, I can do it, right? And why not me? I'm just as capable. I'm probably equally as competitive, and I always want the best of myself. So I'm going to push myself no matter what, and raise that ceiling and break through it.
All that.
I would say, especially being on like a sports team, there's always got to be that one person that's like kind of the bad cop in the situation, like texting in the group chat, like, you must bring this jersey, we're wearing this color today. Like kind of being that person that like takes the fall sometimes, just to make it like a big cohesive group as like one team, you know.
I guess for me, like finding things, even little things that I am passionate about makes me more motivated to see it through or to work through something.
I would say, like Lauren was talking about, the value of hard work and leading by example, that I put in my life. Like that's how I live my life, because I can't expect somebody else to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And at the same point, I don't expect to be, handed something. If I want something, I've got to get that myself. So I think the value of hard work.
Can I just say that there are 20, I think they're breaking out for a second. I was just going to say there are 20 somethings, 30 somethings, and 40 somethings in my industry that would never be able to say what you three just said. So the fact that you're already thinking that way is incredible. What Maria was saying too really resonated because I found that to be true. That you may not be the most popular opinion of the group, but you're sort of putting yourself out there for the betterment of the group, for the betterment of the team. And it may not be what everyone wants to hear, or people are rolling their eyes like, oh, here she goes again with the, micromanagement or, telling us what jersey to wear. But in the end, they're going to thank you for that. And they're going to remember that you're the person that did that because you guys won, or you looked all great and everybody wore the same jersey and everyone showed up on time and to the right location. I deal with that a lot, so I appreciate that. And what you guys said, that's amazing that you're already thinking that way at your age and in the positions that you're in.
Thank you.
It is unreal. And I think like the theme that I get throughout hearing all of you speak about your experiences and whatnot is just like ownership and accountability for like who you are and what you bring to the table. And like that's very unique and special. And I think it's something that's needed within this industry, but also just being a woman and being proud. And I think that's something that Marian instills within its students and its faculty and staff and its community is the resilience and the excitement to just be who you are and be proud of that and be confident. And I think as we can see, you three are like on your way to, such great things already. And we see Lauren and her growth and where she's gonna continue to go and Molly being a part of this school as an athletic director and what she's gonna bring to the table for these students is so special. So I appreciate you guys sharing all that you did. I'm gonna kind of just like open it up for kind of like a fun discussion if you guys are okay with that. If you guys have like questions about Marian or any other things, advice, or just things that we missed. So go for it. Table
I
is
don't know if
yours.
it's all three of us, but we're really curious. Did you guys beat Regina your year? No.
So we did not have the pleasure of getting to play if we were in a fall sport. So
Oh, yeah, understand that.
I am like, when that changed, I was like, oh, finally it changed. But plus we were swimmers too, and our coach at the time was very strict about us participating in other activities that would wear us out or get us hurt or whatever. But no, unfortunately we did not. But I was there. I remember like I was a cheerleader in middle school, so I sort of brought that aspect of my history there to Powder Puff, and I will never ever forget that day. We like got there early and I think you guys are still maybe doing it, but we braided our hair and it was just it was so awesome, especially to see like our friends that didn't play a fall sport that were on the field that day and representing Marian. And like I just felt so proud to be a part of that. I remember one of my best friends broke her arm in practice, so she wasn't able to play, but she was right out there with them. And it was just such an amazing experience. And I love that tradition. I hope it continues for many, many years. And Coach Milzarski, my best friend's dad, he was the coach for a while too. So that passion runs deep, I'll tell you. But yeah, we did not win that year, unfortunately.
It makes you feel any better. We didn't either. So
I think I was at I came not this past year. I went to the one maybe 2 years ago. And I was like, where are my signs and my pom-poms? And like was like cheering so loud. And then my sister, my nephew's on the sideline, and it was amazing. So yeah, that was an incredible day.
Girls, any other questions? Marian questions, advice?
Just how has Marian helped you develop like confidently and then just in any ability to navigate collegiate experiences and professional experiences throughout?
Um, wow. I mean, I just the relationships, like I've said, at Marian, they're my best friends. That helped me into college because a lot of us ended up going to Michigan State, which was amazing. So, I didn't feel pressure to join a sorority or I was on the ski team at Michigan State, but it wasn't a scholarship based team. It was more of a club team. Um, but it still enabled us to carry on those relationships from Marian well into college. We all joked that we wanted to bring our uniforms to college because it was so nice to be able to just have our uniform, our skirt, and I think Birkenstocks are maybe coming back now. We used to wear those. And so we always said, God, we wish we could take our uniforms to Michigan State, but no, I think just the camaraderie of being on the sports teams for sure. That discipline that I was talking about led you to need to focus for college because this is the first time in your life that you don't have your mom there or somebody there like making sure your alarm goes off and getting you dressed, and not that you were still leaning on her for that type of stuff, but certainly not making you lunches anymore. And um, college is your first time where you're 100% on your own. You're completely accountable for yourself, your schedule, what supplies and books you need. You're fully on your own. And I think, my parents told me right off the bat that I needed to get a job, going to Michigan State. And so I found a job, and I will say, like, in addition to, obviously doing my thing on the ski team, but I didn't have the everyday practice that you have at Marian with sports now. So I had to figure out how to hold myself accountable with other things at that point because I wasn't playing my regular sports. So things like a job and having to show up to go to that. And then also like how you kept yourself healthy, like eating and working out, like the gym situation and the health information that is out there now is nothing like it was when I was going to college. I was doing like the elliptical for 20 minutes, like this is a good workout, and had no awareness about muscle and growth and just keeping my body right since it had been, 4 years. And prior to high school, I was still, doing sports all the time. And as you get to college, your metabolism changes and all that stuff. So um, finding some sort of discipline in a new way as you go to college, with both, health wise, the food that you're eating, your bodies, but then also your schedule and your time and making sure you're capturing enough time to do your homework. And like I said, get a job so you can keep yourself in, and it doesn't have to be anything crazy. I mean, I worked like 4 hours at a salon front desk checking people in for their appointments, but I became the assistant manager because the salon relied on me. They knew I would show up on time. So at one point at Michigan State, I had the keys to the biggest salon there and was opening and closing the salon because they wanted me to work there full time. So those are kind of the things that have stuck with me when it came to moving on from Marian into a professional career following college.
That's awesome.
I would say just like one last thing is like, what's your biggest piece of just general advice? I know you've shared a lot already, but just general advice going into college for graduating seniors.
Oh, there's so much. There's so much. I will say I'm going to plug my foundation because I think the theme of my foundation is a very good message that can transcend any sort of life issue that you're going through. But it's this notion of next play. So my husband passed away tragically, and with that, I created a foundation in his name. And the theme of the foundation is next play. He was a football player, and he would always talk about these couple of plays that he had sort of messed up. Um, and he was sitting on the bench, and he never sat on the bench, and he was sort of regretting the play and couldn't quite move on. And he sort of instilled this mindset in him that he's going to go through hard stuff and he's going to learn from it, and then he's going to move forward. And I think a lot that happens in today's day and age, it's very, very easy to dwell on things. There's a lot of bad stuff happening every day. And the way that I've been able to push forward is like, okay, something bad is happening. We're going to learn from it or understand what it is. So we take that time, but we are going to move forward. And it's that next play mentality of like, okay, you're going to learn from that previous play, and you're going to, so I'm imagining with some of the sports that you guys play too, you have to have that mindset. Like if you miss a shot or if you miss a wide open goal or whatever it is, you can like dwell on that till it just, it takes over your mind. But it's like, okay, that was bad and that was a mistake, but we're going to get the next one. So I think you can think of that when, you're looking at colleges and you go through some adversity on campus, if something were to happen, or you have a hard class, just to take that with you, because there's always a next play and there's always something that you can learn from what happened previously.
Does anyone else have chills? Because I do. That
Yeah.
was awesome.
That was awesome.
I wear it with me every day too.
I love that.
My Taylor Swift bracelets, but
Yes.
it has, this is my tattoo because I'm still scared to get a tattoo, but I'm going to start with the bracelet and then maybe get a tattoo. But yes, it truly is everywhere in my life. I put it up. I actually spray painted it. We built this for the national championship last week. It was in Atlanta, and we built this kind of underground, basically like freeway kind of in an event space. And so we brought in a graffiti artist, and I had him graffiti next play on there. And it didn't have to be, nobody had to know about it. But for me, it's just like that constant reminder, especially with events too, like, and the weather, like I was saying, bad stuff is going to happen, you know? So for me, it's like, I have to have that mindset so that I can learn from things and then push forward to the next thing.
So awesome. I want to stay here all day. You guys, like, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Lauren, for your time, and Molly for being here, and Kate, Maria, and Ruby for being here. Is there any like last minute questions? Favorite food at Marian in the cafeteria?
Do not get rid of field day. Field day was like my
Field day.
favorite. That was, and anybody in my class will laugh. But I was like Miss Field Day. I loved it. We were horrible at it. Like for some reason, our class was just like, I think we lost. I think it was like the first time in Marian history that we were fourth place like all 4 years. But I will say that was just such an amazing day because we were outside, we were in it together. It was the thing that you did as a class. We were like the freshman fairy princesses at one point, which was not our style at all. But I absolutely loved the field day. The senior lounge was amazing. I have many memories of that. The lunchroom, our tables there, decorating the lockers. I don't know if you guys still do that. That was awesome with sports anyways, like before a big meet or a big event. We had like a big sister type of situation. So like a captain on the team had like a freshman or a sophomore. And so before all the big races or meets or whatever, we would decorate the lockers. But yeah, field day stands out. Candlelight also stands out. Do you guys have that still?
Yeah.
Okay. That was incredible. I loved just like senior year as a whole was amazing, but yeah, field day was great. I miss
Love to
it.
get you back to judge.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, I'm trying to, Brooke, I want to talk to you about this because I was trying to shift the reunions so that they're closer to the holidays because I'm always out of town, so it's harder for me to make it. But I get why you guys do it around field day. That makes sense.
I think we are figuring out a different way to shift it. So you'll have to share your thoughts and we'll figure it out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much. This has been amazing. And Lauren, thank you for sharing all the information. Yeah, we just
I really
appreciate your
appreciate
time.
I really appreciate you guys having me. I know there's so many amazing alumni, even from my class, too, that are working in sports. So hopefully the women in sports theme can carry on because there's some incredible alumni and probably current students out there too that will end up working in sports. But I'm just so excited for you guys in your next play, going to college, and I'm jealous because I want to be back there with you. But thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
You're the best. We will be in touch. Have a great rest of your
Sounds
day.
good.
Thank you so much, Lauren.
You guys too. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.